Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So tonight, I wanted to dive a little bit into one of my favorite topics when I'm dealing with Brazil, and that is the music that comes out of Brazil. So came across this news just like a couple of days ago. I'm like, wow, definitely have to cover this. As you know, or maybe you don't know, if you read any of the material on the blackbraziltoday.com blog, you know that representation has been something that I've covered for a number of years. Black Brazilians have long complained about being shut out of so many different industries in Brazil. The country that for the longest time defined itself as a racial democracy. But it's like I said, whatever genre you look at, it just seems like there seems to be an invisibility of the darker faces of the population. I remember some years ago when Brazil had hosted the World Cup, and when people looked in the stands at all of those games, they saw mostly, people who would be considered white, or what we'll call Brazilian white. Those are most of the spectators that you saw in most of these games. So, I remember I think it was a video or article that it came out sometime after Brazil had got eliminated from that cup. And it was just like, these are the faces that, Brazil doesn't show on TV. So this is not to say that you don't see any black people on Brazilian television or in the movies or anything like that. It's just that, 15, 20 years ago, you just didn't see many of them. And what you did see, they were always some type of stereotype. So it's like you have the Brazil that the mass media wants to show the rest of the world, and then you have what just everyday Brazilian citizens look like. Music and sports have always been areas that Black Brazilians have been able to, how can we say, ascend in life. There's just people who might be soccer fans around the world. They're going to be familiar with a lot of, superstars, in the world of soccer. A lot of Brazil's top players go over to Europe and make it big. And, for people who are into world music, a lot of people are familiar with a lot of the black artists that come out of Brazil for, what do we call it? MPB, what they call Brazilian popular music, or whether it's samba. Nowadays it's funk, or what they call funky. And, as somebody who's followed the situation for a lot of years, for a long time, I could just say it's exciting to see that some of these artists are starting to get recognition. I've already talked about, this is ongoing. I've talked about how Afro-Brazilian directors are starting to get recognition for their work. There were two major achievements that just happened in the last couple of months in terms of films starring, having primarily black cast and black directors. Those are two stories I have to get to very soon. But today I'm going to focus on what's called the Latin Grammy Awards. Today's video, I'm calling it numerous Afro-Brazilian artists nominated for the 2023 Latin Grammy Awards. Ceremony will be broadcast on November 16th from Seville, Spain. Okay. How many of you recognize these artists here? For anybody who's in Brazil, obviously, you know who these people are. You have Isa, Tiaguinho, and Djavan. So putting together this article, I'm basing it mostly on an article that came out from the Mundo Negro website, which is one of the top black media sites in Brazil. The author is Michael Fonseca. And as I said, today's video has elements of that article, but it also has a lot of information that I've just put together myself. So let's just get into this. So last Tuesday, September 19th, the Latin Grammys announced the nominees for the 2023 edition, which will take place on November 16th. Among the Brazilian nominees are Isa, Tiaguinho, Djavan, and Planet Hemp. But before we get into the Brazilian nominees, tell me, how many of you even knew that there was a such thing as the Latin Grammy Awards? What is the difference between the Latin Grammys and the Grammys? Well, if the name doesn't tell you all you need to know, let's get a little bit more specific. According to the Latin Recording Academy, Latin music is music that is released in the Spanish or Portuguese languages, mainly encompassing music released in Latin America, Spain, Portugal, and the Latino market in the United States. The first Latin Grammy Awards ceremony took place at the Staples Center in Los Angeles on September 13th of the year 2000. The 2001 Latin Grammy Awards were actually canceled due to an unbelievable event that happened on September 11th of that year. The 2022 Latin Grammys were held in Las Vegas, as were several other editions of the ceremony. This year in November, the 24th Latin Grammy Awards will be held in Seville, Spain, and will be broadcast on Univision. This year, as noted in the title of today's video, Afro-Brazilian artists will have major representation at the 24th edition of the award ceremony. Singer Isa, who recently released her album Afro-Hit, has been nominated for the award for Best Urban Interpretation in Portuguese with the song Fé, Fé meaning faith. The songs Da Fela Pro Asfalto by Atusha and Carlinhos Brown, and Dystopia by Planet Hemp and Criollo were also nominated for the category. The category was announced by singer Lineker, the first trans person to win a Latin Grammy in last year's ceremony. The artist took the award for the best Brazilian popular music album for the album Indigo Borboleta Anil. This is the artist known as Lineker. Kleber Cavalcante Gomes, better known as the rapper, singer, and actor Criollo, had already been nominated for 4 Latin Grammy Awards and is known for voicing the aspirations of millions of poor Black and brown youth. The rapper has struggled on Sao Paulo's grassroots hip-hop scene for 2 decades before his career finally took off in 2011 with the release of his first CD. Criollo has garnered respect in the Brazilian music scene by performing with a live band, bringing elements of funk, reggae, and samba in his sound. Also socially and politically conscious, the artist recently released the song Pretos Ganhando Dinheiro Incomoda Demais, meaning Black people making money is too uncomfortable for some people. It reflects on the class race-oriented Brazil that has a problem with seeing Black Brazilians in the middle class. This is a topic that I've talked much about on the blog. This article from 2018, Out of Place. The article is about being a Black woman in predominantly white spaces. It's invisibility and racism in an 80% Black Salvador Bahia. Even though the population might be majority Black and brown, when you go into the ritzy upper crust neighborhoods of Salvador Bahia, they're mostly white or near white Brazilians. And when you see Black people in these areas, people tend to look at them as if like, what are you doing here? Okay. Still goes on today. This article from 2016, the resentment of studying in the same classroom as the Black maid's daughter. This was big news. Like I said, back in with the initiation of the quota system back in like 99 or 2000, you've seen a lot more Black Brazilians getting into colleges and universities. And quite frankly, a lot of, we'll say white or off-white Brazilians had a problem with that. And they expressed this disapproval in many different ways, from gestures and comments or whatever, things they say online, the racist things that they write in graffiti on buildings, like, Blacks don't belong here, Blacks belong in the kitchen. This is from 2016. A Black in my building? No. Woman attacks neighbor with a machete after a dispute over trash collection. Then you have this one right here. I mean, I could go on and on with these articles. This is something that I've talked about for a long time. This comedian musician, Eddie Jr., who made a name for himself in social networks. This happened in Sao Paulo. This woman who also lives in the same building as he does says, "Get out, monkey." He ended up leaving his apartment after this racist attack. This incident triggered protest in front of the apartment building. It was like this woman had the nerve to ask him, like, what are you doing here? There was a video where it showed her and her son like outside of his building, outside of his apartment, and I think he had like a empty bottle or a knife in his hand or something, and they were really uncomfortable with seeing this black guy in this apartment building. So when Criollo's talking about how black people getting money bothers a lot of people, this is a race class based society for many years in Brazil, where they don't expect to see black people in certain areas that have traditionally been uh, an area that's predominantly white. Then you have Isa. Now, I've discussed Isa in a number of posts and videos and followed her career from her singing cover versions of popular international hits to becoming one of Brazil's top stars. I have at least a couple of videos that I've talked about Isa, the things I like, the things that I don't necessarily like, and there's a number of articles on the blog as well. A lot of you know who this guy is. And in some ways, I don't think Carlinhos Brown should even need an introduction. The singer, songwriter, producer, arranger, percussionist, and multi-instrumentalist earned international fame for his contributions to Brazilian music. This is Carlinhos Brown with the legendary musician Sergio Mendes. For Americans who got into Brazilian music, for a lot of people, besides Antonio Carlos Jobim, Sergio Mendes was one of the first Brazilians to really get a lot of recognition for his music in the United States. He often sang, he did albums in Portuguese as well as all English. You might remember his group. I think it was Sergio Mendes in Brazil 77 or something like that. Known for his style that mixes Brazilian popular music, axé, and samba reggae, or what they call reggae. Brown has already been awarded with Latin Grammy Awards, and in 2012, in partnership with the legendary musician Sergio Mendes, was nominated for an Oscar in the category of Best Original Song for the song Real in Rio from the movie Rio. A lot of you will remember that movie. Ludmilla, this young lady right here, another artist who I've seen come up. Interestingly, her and Isa and Anita, they all got popular by just singing on YouTube, and ended up landing big deals with record companies, and the rest is history, as they say. Ludmilla, winner of last year's Grammy for the Best Samba Pagode album for the album Numanense number 2, was responsible for announcing this year's category. Among the nominees are Meu Nome é Tiago André, Ao Vivo by Tiaguinho, Negra Ópera by Martinho da Vila, and Resenha do Mumu by Mumuzinho. This is Tiaguinho, who got his start in 2003 with the pagode band known as Exalta Samba, a group which also spawned the career of popular singer Pericles. Eventually going solo, Tiaguinho has released a number of gold and platinum certified CDs since 2012. Also venturing into the business world, in 2009, Tiaguinho created the company Pais e Bem, a music publisher, record label, and administrator, a successful endeavor which had Forbes magazine declaring the artist Brazil's first Black billionaire. This is what this caption is saying right here. Eu sou o primeiro bilionário negro do Brasil. I am the first Black billionaire of Brazil, right? That's big news, Tiaguinho. This caption here says Tiaguinho will be the Brazilian Jay-Z, just talking about his, his business endeavors outside of just making music. Martinho da Vila is a veteran singer-songwriter in the category of samba, the owner of one of Brazil's most recognizable voices. The singer dropped his first album in 1969, has released a stunning total of 55 albums in his career. Everybody knows Martinho da Vila once you hear his voice for the first time, or if you should hear a song on the radio, even not knowing what song it is, you instinctively know Martinho da Vila when you hear him sing. I'll never forget the first time I heard one of his songs. He has a very distinctive voice, right? He's, if I'm not mistaken, Martinho's about 85 now, and he continues to release albums. Mumuzinho, the stage name of Marcio da Costa Batista, continues to carry the torch of new school samba and pagode, being the singer of some of the most infectious rhythms in the genre. This is Mumuzinho. In the best Portuguese language song, Singer-songwriter, musician Djavan was nominated for the award with the song No Mundo de Paz. Criolo was also nominated with the song Algo Ritmo Íntimo, featuring Ney Matogrosso, a legend of Brazilian pop rock. Singer, songwriter, musician Djavan is one of Brazil's most beloved artists. With his first album being released in 1976, the artist has released some of the most memorable songs in Brazilian popular music over the course of nearly 30 years, 30 albums rather. He's been at it since 1976. So what is that, like, what, 47 years or so? Djavan's been at it for a long time. He has been a consistent hit maker with his blend of samba-rooted pop, mixed with elements of funk, soul, and jazz, as well as elements of flamenco. Buy any one of Djavan's albums. I'm a fan of music that comes out of the 70s and 80s, and when I first started exploring Brazilian music, Djavan was one of those artists where I just felt like whatever CD I buy from him, there's going to be some hits on there. Djavan and Planet Hemp are the only Brazilians nominated in more than one category. Djavan was also nominated for Best Brazilian Popular Music Album with the album D, and Planet Hemp for Best Rock or Alternative Music Album in Portuguese with the album Jardineiros. This is the band, Planet Hemp. The album Jardineiros was the first release in 22 years for the band known for its potent brew of hip hop and rock. Two members of the band that have marked the Brazilian music world with their own solo projects are well-known rappers Marcelo D2 and B Negão. This is Marcelo D2 here, B Negão here. Then you have this young lady right here, Xenia França, with Em Nome de Estrela, and Hodari with Hodari, the name of his EP. They are among the nominees for Best Contemporary Pop Album in Portuguese. For songstress Xenia França from the state of Bahia, this is her third Grammy nomination. The artist mixes together a brilliant stew of samba, soul, electronica, and balladry that produces a sound that rivals any American soul singer. Hodari is a multi-instrumentalist from Brazil's capital city of Brasilia, who rose to fame with this eclectic mixture of R&B, funk, samba, and even Afrobeat. With the release of his first EP, the artist declared his intention of highlighting música brasileira preta, or Black Brazilian music. It's intriguing because in recent years, Black Brazilian artists have been wanting to carve out their own niche in Brazilian popular music, where this music has a certain, it proudly defines itself as Black music. It honors the Black aesthetic. It talks about Black themes. And MPB in Portuguese means Música Popular Brasileira, but a lot of Black artists who are carving out this niche of Black music have taken to calling it Música Preta Brasileira, like Black Brazilian music. So he changed it around a little bit, calling it Música Brasileira Preta, but basically this is what they're saying, like, this is Black Brazilian music. It's something a little bit, it's within the MPB category, but it specifically has a Black aesthetic, right? So as we can see, there are a number of Black Brazilian artists being recognized at this year's Latin Grammy Awards. It is yet another example of the Afro-Brazilian population finally taking center stage in a country that has long treated Blacks as if they didn't exist. Regardless who wins or who doesn't, such representation is a major accomplishment. Parabéns para todos. Anyway, that's what I have for today. Definitely looking forward to checking out this the Latin Grammy Awards. Definitely, I'm thinking of at least a few of these artists going to walk home with some with the Grammy trophies. So, what did you think about this? How many of you guys out there are fans of Brazilian music? I mean, are you up on Brazilian rock, Brazilian hip hop, Brazilian samba, choro? There's many different styles coming out of Brazil in terms of its music, electronica. There's something there that everybody can like. I've been a fan of Brazilian music since I got into Brazil in the year 2000. So if you're not familiar with any of these artists, make sure, go back and watch the video again, check out some of these names, go and check out some of this music. You'll find out of just this handful of artists that I mentioned, there's somebody on here who you can probably click with. So, these are a couple of these people in this list are some of my favorite artists, particularly people like Djavan. Um, so curious to know what you think about this. Take the time to, go to YouTube and put in these names and listen to some of the songs that they have. You artists like G. Javon have enormous catalogs, and you're going to find something that you definitely will find something that you're going to like. G. Javon is fascinating to me because he takes Brazilian rhythms and he produces them in a manner that I think a lot of Americans would probably like his style. If samba if the rhythm is a little bit too different for you, you can listen to somebody like G. Javon, who you can hear samba in his music or whatever other style that he's doing, but the production standard, I got into him with his first three albums, and just from there, it was like his whole catalog is worth something listening to. Isa, if you're into today's modern music, this is an artist that you might like. So anyway, I'm not going to hold up. I'm not going to take up too much time. The artists are all in this video. If you're familiar with these artists, drop a comment in the comment section. Definitely consider subscribing to this channel. Like this video, share this video, click on that notification bell so that you'll be one of the first people to get my videos when I put them up. And with that said, I'm going to end this video here and ask you all to come and check out my next video.